Thanks for your question. I think we've seen in the hall some different views on this, and that's a good thing. That's one of the reasons we have Community Cabinet. We've committed to hitting the Millennium Development Goal of 0.5% of our national income. It's probably the best way of describing it. We put the achievement of that goal back by 1 year, so we will now attain that in financial year 2016-17 instead of 2015-16. And that was a difficult decision for us, but we took it in circumstances where we'd come out of the global financial crisis strong. We didn't have a recession. We saved jobs, but we wanted to get about the task of bringing the budget to surplus, fiscal consolidation, to use the terminology, because that was the right thing to do for the economy. In those circumstances, we had to take a range of decisions that affected all areas of government expenditure, and we affected the overseas development aid through the 1 year delay. Now, people will have their views about that, but we do have to have a sense of perspective here. Around the world, many nations are actually going backwards in the amount of money that they put into overseas aid. Many of those economies have been really pushed around by the global financial crisis. They're reducing their aid budgets. What we are doing is we are continuing to grow our aid budget. We have slowed the rate of growth by 12 months. By the time we hit the 0.5%, in volume terms, we will be the sixth largest contributor in the OECD. Now, I think that's a record we can be pretty proud of. And we can also be pretty proud of the things that our aid money gets spent on, because we do some incredibly cost-effective things around the world. One of them, just to give an example, is a partnership we have with the Bill Gates Foundation, which is focused on the eradication of polio. We haven't known polio in our nation since the 1950s. It's an oral vaccine, 8 drops in a child's mouth, and that will mean that they don't get polio. And the world is on the verge of eradicating polio as a known disease. There are 4 countries in which polio is still present, and if we can eradicate polio in those 4 countries, then like smallpox, it's gone. No one will ever suffer from polio again. That's one of the things we're trying to do through our aid program. I think Australians can feel pretty proud of that. It's a cost-effective thing to do, and it'll change a lot of lives. Thanks for your question. Okay, I'll take the gentleman here. Yes, you, sir. Oh, sorry. Look, I'll take the gentleman at the back now. You're in position, and then we'll come, because I did indicate at the front. Yep.
Thank you. Hilary Fowler is my name. I teach in the Adult Migrant English program here in Launceston. A large proportion of our students are humanitarian entrants. We're recently disappointed to hear that our projected numbers for Launceston for the beginning of next year are very low. So I'm interested in the government's plan for the resettlement of humanitarian entrants in Tasmania, and in particular here in the sunny north.
Thanks for your question. I've neglected to bring the Immigration Minister with me. Well, I didn't really neglect it. He's actually going to be in PNG and Nauru, as you've probably seen on the media, looking at the works there. We're actually expanding our humanitarian intake, as you would be aware. The specific decisions that have been made on where people are going and how they will access settlement services, I'd have to confess, sir, I'm not across every part of that level of detail, so I couldn't do chapter and verse for you about what availability of settlement services here has led to what decisions about how many people should come. But what I'll do is I'll ask one of the staff members to, so someone in a blue polo, to come over and just get your address, and we'll follow that up with you. I'll take the gentleman at the front because I said I would. You sir, just here. Yes.
Prime Minister Julia, I seek your indulgence to ask that I may present a couple of statements.
As long as it's really quick, because we've got a few other people who want to ask questions.
That's right. I just feel I would like to say that we shared the pain, those that saw visually, that was in your heart in Parliament recently. I'm tempted to say that to our last man standing, Australia was behind you. But, and as a Christian, I find this very difficult to say, but there was one man not standing, but was so low that he, in fact, came from the bowels of the earth and didn't accept your genuine situation there. I've written a letter, as I do, and presented it to the Examiner this morning. I'd like to give this to you, if you would, and take it back to your family. If I may, I'll just read the last paragraph. John Gillard spoke of his love and pride for his daughter. He would have died knowing that she, Australia's first female Prime Minister, is, as history will show, the most vilified, by far, Prime Minister in Australian political history. I dedicate this letter to your father, John Gillard, a Welsh coal miner, a psychiatric nurse, a loving father, a much-loved father and husband. And I dedicate in the name of everything that's good and pure and true and decent to a man that Australia, for many years to come, will be well proud of.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I did have the opportunity a little bit earlier today to thank Australians, so many of them in their tens of thousands who have just been so remarkably supportive of me and my family at this time. So thank you very much. Thank you.
That is the Prime Minister Julia Gillard and senior members of the Cabinet facing questions and listening to that statement from that gentleman there alluding to this week's controversy at Launceston College in Tasmania. And now it's time for all the day's sports news with Peter Wilkins. What have you got coming up on Grandstand, Wilco?
Scott, tonight